Good afternoon. Hope y'all are doing well today. Most of the time when someone asks us who we are or we go to introduce ourselves, we introduce ourselves as, hey, I'm Katie and so-and-so and so-and-so. And there we go. Try not to lose that again. For me, as a child growing up, I was Randy and Sarah Lynn's daughter. I was LaFoy and Amelia's granddaughter. I was George and Catherine's granddaughter. But as I got older, I got married. I became Sam's wife. I became Micaiah, Olivia, and Evelyn's mom. I became a pastor's wife for a first lady. We give ourselves titles. But I'm not royalty. No, we're not. But we give each other a title. Well, in 2019, I gained an unexpected title of Parkinson's patient. And this is just going to give you a little bit of my story and some information on Parkinson's. For me, it began on December 9th, 2018. We were having a service at our church recognizing our local football team, and I was handing out candy bars to the guys. That hand's not supposed to be moving. That hand's never moved before. And that started a journey of what's going on. Looking back, I was having some mood swings. My hair was falling out. I was losing weight. We just assumed, hey, her thyroid's going haywire again, as it had in 2016. But the numbers didn't add up. So began the doctor search. Started with one primary care doctor, and he literally told me I was crazy and to go find a psychiatrist because those symptoms did not align with someone my age. Needless to say, we found somebody else. The next primary care doctor ran every test known to man that she could possibly think of. I had 2 MRIs, I had an EEG, I had blood work. I felt like the vampire had come to see me multiple times trying to find out what this was because nothing made sense. She looked at me and she said, I don't know. Okay, well, let's go back to the endocrinologist. She very quickly told me, I don't know, but I can get you in with a neurologist in my practice very quickly. So instead of a 6-month wait, it became a 3-week wait. We walked into Dr. Nuccio's office. The first thing that struck me was she looked to be my little sister's age, who was 10 years younger than I am. And within 15 minutes, she looked at me and said, you have Parkinson's. Okay. There's the immediate sense of relief because finally after 4 months of being told I was crazy to being told we have no idea what's wrong with you, we finally know what this giant is that we're facing. Take a break from my story for a minute. What is Parkinson's? For most of you, when you think of Parkinson's, you think of a white, older man, probably hunched over with a cane, and he's trembling, he's shaking. That is the typical picture of Parkinson's. It is a brain disease. It is a movement disorder. In your brain, you have little things called dopamine receptors. They make dopamine. They also transport dopamine to different parts of your brain, and they quit working. So dopamine is your happy drug. That's why people smoke dope, and no, I do not recommend it at all. But they do it to feel better. But you can also get to the point where it's too much, and it causes all kinds of other problems. So why was my hair falling out? Why was I depressed? Why was I losing weight? I was dopamine depleted. I didn't have what I needed. Dopamine controls movement, mood, motivation, and so much more. So now I'm diagnosed. She hands me medicine. Okay. Good old carbidopa-levodopa, developed in 1967. My grandfather took it. Your grandfather took it? Yep. My grandfather took it because he had Parkinson's as well. So that's why you have Parkinson's, because he did. Wrong. Only 15% of people with Parkinson's are genetically related to someone else, and that is the cause of their Parkinson's disease. The vast majority of us will never know why we have Parkinson's. Sure, you have the whole Camp Lejeune issue. Totally legit. There are people with Parkinson's that came out of Camp Lejeune during that time. Brian Grant, NBA player, his family was at Camp Lejeune during that time. That is very likely why he has Parkinson's. Agent Orange, directly affecting our veterans. Many of our veterans coming down with Parkinson's later in life because of their exposure to Agent Orange. Unfortunately, a lot of our migrant workers are exposed to the chemicals involved with agriculture. So much of it seems circumstantial, so much of it environmental, and so much of it, you know what? God chose for this to be my path. And this is it. And that's where I am. So, back up a little bit. We leave Dr. Nuccio's office after she prescribed the medicine. The relief is there, but then the reality hits. You get in the car and you're sitting there, we're in Atlanta, and we start the drive back to my in-laws' house. About an hour and a half. And I lose it. Absolutely lose it. I remember my grandfather sitting on the porch in early March, sweating because he is shaking so hard and can get no relief. I knew what it looked like, and it scared me to death. I didn't want that. But I have a husband and I had 3 kids. I have 3 kids. I didn't have the choice to give up. I didn't have the choice to stop. So we start taking the meds. Never forget taking the first half tablet of the medicine. The tremor stopped. I haven't quit moving in 4 months, and for those few brief moments, I got to be still. It felt like the clouds were gone. The sun had come out in my world, and I felt so much better. How could one little half tablet of medicine make that much of a difference? But it did. So much so, for whatever reason, I realized how nasty the car was, and I went and washed the car. My kids looked at me and said, "Mama, are you all right?" I was. I felt so much better. But that so much better only lasted for a little bit. And we upped the meds. That so much better only lasted for a little bit, and we upped the meds. Upping meds every 2 months. Back to Dr. Nuccio, every 2 months. She finally looked at me. She said, "Katie, I would love to continue to be your neurologist. I treat over 900 different disorders. I will do what I can for you, but I highly recommend you find a movement disorder specialist." Remember, I told you Parkinson's is a movement disorder. It affects the way we move. It affects the way our body processes movement. Sometimes it's a shuffling of the feet. Sometimes it's a going to take the step and your feet are literally frozen and you cannot move except to fall. Sometimes it's tremors. So many different scenarios that it could be. But a movement disorder specialist specializes in 4 different disorders. So she referred me to UAB. In September of 2019, I met Dr. Walker, and he very quickly assessed my medications, realized I was meeting thresholds that were not going to be good for me. The side effects of a lot of our medications look like Parkinson's symptoms. So you get that catch-22. We were getting ready to take our kids to Disney World. They were going to compete in a national taekwondo tournament, and we were going to spend a couple days doing Disney. If you've ever done Disney, it is not for the faint of heart, and you need to be on your best when you go, and I wasn't. We had already discussed we were going to have to rent a wheelchair every day for me just to make it through the parks, to try to enjoy the day with the kids. Dr. Walker introduced something called a dopamine agonist. It's also a medicine for Parkinson's patients. It tricks your brain to create dopamine. I thought I had found gold, y'all. I went from not being able to function about half of my day. I felt amazing. I did Disney with my kids for 3 days and felt great. Yes, you're tired, but you're always tired when you go to Disney. We continued. We continued down the journey of medicine and more medicine and more medicine and more medicine. September of 2020, middle of the pandemic, it's time to see Dr. Walker again. Well, I can't see him face to face. He says, well, we'll do it on video. However, come off all of your medicines. I want to see you for you and how you're really doing. We were prepared for tremors. We were prepared for fatigue. We were not prepared for my inability to make decisions, to process what was going on around me. If my kids asked me a question, it would take me 30 seconds to be able to respond to them because I was processing information so slowly. My mobility was to the point I could almost not walk. It took my 12-year-old helping me walk up a hill to get back to the car. That was an awful reality. To see me through his eyes as tears stream down his face because of what he sees me doing and what he remembers me being 2 years ago. Dr. Walker very quickly said, it's time for deep brain stimulation. No. Deep brain stimulation is brain surgery. It's brain surgery in which you're awake. No, not happening. Standard school of thought for deep brain stimulation is you are 4 to 5 years diagnosed and meds no longer worked. I hadn't even been diagnosed for 2 years yet. I said, my meds are still working. And then the hard reality hit, no, they're not. I took meds every 4 hours beginning at 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. I had to eat every time I took my meds, so I didn't eat meals with my family. I sat at the table with them. Really stinks to sit down to Thanksgiving dinner. It's not time for meds. So you snack, but you'll eat 2 hours later when it's time to take meds. Meds that are only working 50% of the time. I got 2 good hours out of every 4, if I was lucky. Meds weren't working. It was time to think about what Dr. Walker had told me. A lot of tears, a lot of prayers, a lot of research. And we agreed with him. It was time for deep brain stimulation. But we're in the middle of the pandemic, and UAB had canceled all elective surgeries. So I said, okay, let me know when you open. I want to go first. I was ready. Not sure my husband was ready, not sure my family was ready. I was ready. I was ready to be able to function, to be the wife and the mom that God made me to be. February, actually the end of January, they called and said, how about Wednesday? This was on Monday. I said, I can't jump that fast. I do have 3 kids and my parents are 5 hours away. Let's give it 2 weeks. February 1st, I had my first deep brain stimulation surgery. I had brain surgery. It's a very unreal thing to go through. My surgery was about 6.5 hours long because I was in a study. They implanted the neurotransmitter inside my brain, which I do have examples of if you would like to see. On Monday, stayed in the hospital Monday night, went home Tuesday, went back on Friday, and they put in the transmitter, which is like a little hockey puck that's right inside my chest, and they connected my transmitter to my stimulator. Turned all of this on. 2.5 weeks later, I wasn't moving. I can't begin to explain the sensation of being still and how overwhelming that was, and it still is for the first time. I was having some tremors on my left side. They said, you know, because of the surgeries, this may rapidly accelerate. Well, they weren't kidding. It did. By the end of the study, which was February of 2022, my left side was fully involved, and I was ready to have my other side done. So March of 2022, I had brain surgery again for my other side. And once again, I'm not moving. And it is a sheer miracle in my mind that God placed us here in Alabama at this time and allowed me to be at UAB to have this happen. A lot of people have looked at me and say, how do you continue? How do you not give up? How do you get through every day? For me, it's about my relationship with Christ. You can agree or disagree, but that is what keeps me going. And the fact that He's blessed me with a husband that cares, that walks with me through this journey, and 3 kids that we are responsible for raising. Why not? Don't you get mad at God? Yes, I've gotten mad. Yes, we grieved. We grieved for about 3 weeks because you've gained a diagnosis that's lifelong. There is no cure. This is my life. This is our life from now until God takes me home, unless they find a cure. It's not going to get better. There are moments, like having deep brain stimulation, where it helps. Oh my goodness, it helps. But the disease itself will never go away. So, why me, why me, why me? What makes me any better than anybody else in this room? My question is, why not me? God's got something special for me. I don't know what. But my hope today, the reason that I do what I do, is because I want to be a part of helping somebody else be able to stand here and say, I, through God's help, can do this. My mantra has become, the best thing you can give somebody with Parkinson's besides Jesus is somebody else with Parkinson's. You can put 50 of us in a room and we will all look different. We all have different symptoms. We all respond to medicine differently. We respond to therapy differently. But we get it when nobody else does. It's about a support system that you have to make it through. A couple things I want to share with you as I wrap up. 3 of my absolute favorite resources. The first one is the Parkinson's Foundation's Aware and Care Kit. It's the black bag sitting on our table. It is their hospital care kit. For me, it's just an invaluable resource. I keep all my medication in it. When we travel, it goes under my seat. In the event I had to be transported to the hospital, it's a quick grab. They know what I'm taking. They have everything in front of me. One of the best things in it is a nurse's form, a nurse's information sheet. It talks about the symptoms of Parkinson's, talks about common medications for Parkinson's, and most importantly, it talks about medications Parkinson's patients shouldn't have. Something as simple as, don't give me Phenergan for nausea because it totally counteracts all of my medication. Give me Zofran. Simple things that make all the difference in the world for Parkinson's patients. The second thing, and it's on the table as well, is that blue book. It is one of 2 books from the Davis Finney Foundation, and it is called Every Victory Counts. You can get it online for free as an ebook. I have copies available if you would like some. It is the most comprehensive layman's guide to Parkinson's disease. If it's about Parkinson's disease, it is in that book. And one of the great things is, in the last year, they've come out with a caregiver's companion guide that goes along with it. The other thing that I absolutely love that is special to Alabama is the Parkinson's Association of Alabama. They are our Parkinson's Resource Center. Just a fantastic group of people. Their board of directors includes people that have been directly impacted by Parkinson's as a close family member, and they also have people with Parkinson's on their board. Their goal is to help make our lives easier and to provide resources for us. They provide scholarships for folks to be able to go to the YMCA, to go to Rock Steady Boxing, which is one of the many exercise programs for Parkinson's that's offered. Just an amazing, amazing group of people. The other thing two things I want to let you know about are opportunities coming to Northeast Alabama. In September, we are hoping to have what we call a mini symposium, in which we will have speakers come in and have the Parkinson's community gather in Gadsden and just spend time together learning more about Parkinson's, being a community together. Vendors, if you're interested in that, let me know and we'll give you more information about that as time gets closer and we get everything settled. The other thing that I'm super excited about, we will be having our 3rd annual Parkinson's Awareness Walk. The first Saturday in November, that's November 4th. Last year we raised over $30,000 and we had 150 people come out and walk with us. Such a blessing for people to be together, to support us, to be able to support each other. Parkinson's knows no bounds. It's not an old man's disease. It's not a white man's disease. It affects every race and every gender. If there is any way I can be of help to you, please let me know. I'll be glad to give you my information for you to get in touch with me. I'm an open book. Everything that I've been through, God has a purpose in, and I want to be able to share that with people and to help other people. So thank you for your time, and thank you for listening. If you have questions, feel free to holler at me.